Brothers and guests, welcome to this large group session for the 2023 High Alpha Summit in Neville Advisors College. Please welcome our host from the University of Toledo, Associate Director of Chapter Support, Shelby Howard.
Hi all, thanks for being with me this afternoon. I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting chocolate cake at lunch, so I understand if you're really feeling a little drowsy, getting in that afternoon slump. But I really appreciate you being here with me. As Mike said, my name is Shelby Howard, and I have the privilege of serving as your Associate Director of Chapter Support here at Lambda Chi Alpha. I am an Alpha Xi Delta from the University of Toledo, and I feel really fortunate to be able to continue to work in fraternity and sorority life. And today, I'm really excited to be able to talk with y'all about something that is really pivotal in our success of the Office of Administration working with the chapters and the Zetas, which is our strategy and support sessions. For the folks that may not be familiar with this, our strategy and support meetings are meetings that are primarily held with the high alphas at each of the chapter level with our chapter coaches, our associate directors, and even our director. And this is a really great opportunity for us as the Office of Administration to hear what's going on at that local Zeta level. So now I'm going to get a little feedback from the group. I would love to hear from you all what you think is the point of having a strategy and support session with your chapter coach. Just shout it out. Yeah, it allows the high alphas or whoever high Zeta officer may be meeting with the coach to have that one-on-one conversation about what progress you're making towards your goals. Are these the goals that we should keep having? Yeah, absolutely. For sure, yeah. Having that other touch point where you're able to give feedback and hear some advice from folks that are hearing your experiences and are able to provide some expertise on the area is also a great aspect of it. Any other thoughts about why we may have our strategy and support sessions? All right, well, hopefully a few more things come to mind as we continue to navigate through our conversation here today. But as you can see, our strategy and support meetings, like you had said, are a really great checkpoint for us to be able to talk about the progress towards monthly goals. It allows the high Zeta officer or other Zeta members to discuss with their chapter coach the operations of the chapter, to be able to ask questions, and primarily it's a great space for them to ask for advice and to seek that support about how they're navigating those challenging conversations within their chapter. So a lot of the times these conversations will incorporate maybe terms completion if a chapter is on terms and they're working towards getting back on good status with the general fraternity. It can be about planning philanthropy events and what is upcoming in the semester, anything and everything. This is a great time for those high Zeta leaders and our high alphas to talk with their chapter coach about it. So an important part of the strategy and support is the work that comes prior to you showing up for the meetings. But one great way that you can prepare for a strategy and support meeting is to make sure that you are prepared. Whether that is you finding a quiet space at home where you're able to eliminate distractions, maybe that's putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, finding a space in the library in between classes where you're able to fit in that time with your chapter coach. Whatever that looks like for you, please make sure that you are allocating time in your schedule to be able to sit down and focus on Lambda Chi Alpha for that time being. It's also really important that as you prepare, you're discussing with your high Zeta leaders what work they're making towards their goals. Although this is something that primarily our high alphas are doing with our folks at the Office of Administration, it's really important to us that we hear what's happening across the entire fraternity. So we want to hear about the goals that your Theta is hitting. We want to hear about the work that your Sigma is doing. This is a great time to celebrate all of the successes of all of the folks in the chapter. Something else that is really crucial for the success of a strategy and support is to make sure that you have your strategy and support sheets documented and uploaded into the SharePoint folder for each strategy and support. And if this is something that sounds new to you, you will be walked through this with your chapter coach. You will be ensured that you will have access to this link and that you will always be able to access and submit this documentation in a timely manner. The reason this is so important for you all is that without this sheet, we aren't able to document your attendance for these meetings to show that you are progressing towards those goals. And that's important because without this attendance, that could affect your RMA, which we know affects budget and the dues that you may have to pay towards your RMA. And the last thing is to please make sure that you're showing up prepared for this meeting. Know where your Zoom link is. Make sure you've confirmed that this is a great meeting time for you each week or bi-weekly, whatever that schedule may look like for you. and make sure that you're just ready to come and have a conversation with your chapter coach about it. Awesome. So now at this time, we are going to have a former High Alpha from Mercer University join us up here on the stage. So Brecken, if you would, please welcome him up. So as I had just mentioned, Brecken here is from Mercer University, the Zeta Omega Zeta, and he just completed his term as High Alpha just a couple months ago. So just like you, he attended High Alpha Summit last year. He was sitting in your same seats, and we're really appreciative of him being here this year, because now we're going to walk through and model what a strategy and support session may look like for you and your chapter coach moving forward. It's like seeing. Cool. Brecken, how are you? How was this past week?
Doing good. School's been going pretty good. Had a couple of tests, but other than that, it's been going well.
Good. What were your tests in?
I had a test in investments, which was pretty difficult, but
I would have failed, so good for you. And you said it went well. When will you find out grades and stuff?
should hopefully later this week, but I think it went well.
Good. And what else is going on? What's something fun that you did this past weekend?
Nothing too much. We had a football game over the weekend, so tailgated for that, and had a lot of fun with some brothers over the weekend.
Good. Did the team win?
Definitely not.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. I'm glad things are going well. What is coming up for the chapter this week?
So nothing too much this week. More, I guess, just with the month ahead in terms of completing our terms for our sanctions, and then also pumpkin buses coming up. So those are definitely the two biggest things on the horizon.
That's awesome. Cool. We'll definitely make a point to talk about that a little bit later, but that's so exciting. Well, thank you for submitting your sheet. I see that you have it pulled up here, so let's start to walk through it. Tell me what progress we're making towards that big annual goal of forming the advisory board.
So for the advisory board, progress is going pretty well. We're really looking for one more alumni that's a little bit more recently graduated. And as of now, we're kind of pausing recruitment until homecoming week, but we hope to kind of finish it up then and then be on schedule to still meet at the beginning of the spring semester.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about the folks that are on your advisory board now. Who are they connecting with? Where are they from? Like, tell me a little bit.
So kind of a variety of places. We have some kind of more local alumni that still live kind of by the school that are a little more involved. Some that want to be involved, but may not be able to be there physically as often. And then we're kind of looking for that more recently graduated alumni to fill that role.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's great that you have folks from a variety of different generations in the chapter, and you can get some different perspectives there. Have you talked with Tyler about this recently? Does
Yes.
High Pi feel supported in it?
Yeah, so definitely talking a lot with our High Pi Tyler about who's being recruited, who he's talking to, and kind of how the search is going as a whole.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the update. Let me know if you need anything or if he needs any support on that. I'll be happy to follow up with him and see how that's going. Cool.
Sounds good.
What's going on with our semester goals?
So the big semester goal is obviously getting off of social probation and staying out of trouble during that time. And so the last thing that we really have to do with that to get off of social probation is complete the educational speakers requirement and do 3 of those. So as of now, we've done one of the speakers, and I know that last week we had talked about trying to get those completed before this week, but we were not able to schedule them in time. So they are scheduled for this week, and we should be done with that requirement by the end of this week.
Okay. Tell me who those educational speakers are and why did you choose to bring them in?
So honestly, one of them was just a speaker that the school already had, so it was just more of a convenience thing. And then our other speaker is supposed to be on risk management, so I am actually in a risk management class this semester, so I got my professor to talk to the chapter about risk management and different policies and procedures that we could implement.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you were able to use the classroom resources that you have and the relationships you built with your professor to tie that back into the chapter. And I know you said one of them is about risk management, but what was the other topic about?
I believe the other one is the social host training.
Oh, yeah.
And so just kind of talking about hosting social events and different things that we can do for that.
Yeah, cool. Tying it all together. So you hope to have those all completed, and you remember you have to have documentation for it by the end of the week, right?
Yes.
Cool. When you get that, send it over to me via email, and we'll update the terms. We can talk through it. That sounds good. All right. Talk to me about the other semester goal with the GPA and service hours.
Yes. So in terms of GPA, we're still kind of waiting on the midterm grade report to do anything or to report anything with that. And then in terms of service hours, we just completed a campus-wide service event, like as a chapter. We participated in that, and so we got over 120 hours from that service event. And then we have Pumpkin Bus, like I said, coming up, and then we are in discussion about doing at least one more service event before the end of the semester.
Cool. So it sounds like there's a lot of service. There's a lot of things packed into this goal here. So I want to break it down a little bit. What was the service event? Like, how did it go? You said you had 120 hours completed, so
Yep.
That's awesome. But tell me, what was the brother feedback from that?
So it was our first. It's something that our school participates called Serve, kind of a play on words, I guess. And so it's not. It's any student can participate, and so they just had an event that was for 50 guys or 50 people, and we were like, we can all serve at the same event. And so we went to I guess like a campus, little small house area that they help rehabilitate people that are that were institutionalized or put in prison at young ages and are now having to reintegrate into adult life. And so they help people with that. And so we just help them do a variety of different tasks just around to help them out. So it was a lot of fun.
It's fantastic. Do you think you'd be able to do that again next year?
Yes, definitely. They host the event every semester. So
Cool.
This was just the first year that we, instead of just encouraging people to go, we made it mandatory as a service event for all the brothers.
Nice. Good. Well, I'm glad you all were able to go out and get to see that direct impact of doing that work in the community. And you also talked about Pumpkin Bust.
Yes.
There's got to be a lot there.
Yes.
Tell me where you're at in the planning of that.
So we have a committee that's really in charge of planning all the Pumpkin Bust stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they're busy planning all of that. I think the biggest thing I've heard is just sourcing all the pumpkins this year for an affordable price is kind of the biggest issue that we're facing right now.
Mm-hmm. And how are you going about looking for those pumpkins?
At this point, anything and everything. If someone knows a pumpkin guy, hopefully that'll work out or something.
The pumpkin plug.
Yeah.
Yes. So something that I would encourage you to think about is maybe for future semesters or future falls, if you want to do Pumpkin Bust, consider having it after Halloween. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, pumpkin patch people will have a discount on pumpkins, just looking to get rid of them. So you might be able to save a few bucks there, and also build that rapport with somebody in the community of buying their produce from them.
For sure.
Cool. So we're talking about sourcing the pumpkins. Do we have people signed up for Pumpkin Bust? Do you have a space for it?
Yeah. So the space is reserved. They had to move us to a different location this year, but we were able to get it all sorted out. We're still working on registrations. I think we've got about 4 teams registered now, and just working on trying to recruit more.
Okay. What is your goal? How many teams do you want to show up?
I think in the past we usually have between 6 to 8, so that's kind of our goal for this year.
All right. Cool. And what is the brother expectation to be at that event?
It's mandatory for everyone.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So as brothers may have class, I'm sure those are excused absences, but for folks that decide not to come, what is that follow-up conversation with them going to look like?
So I think the plan is to try and address it preemptively, I guess, instead of react to it afterwards. So I think we're planning on having an exec meeting here and kind of discussing what it would look like or what some of the repercussions would be for missing out with an unexcused absence.
Okay, cool. Let me know how I can support you. I know that having those conversations with brothers about not coming to things and having to hold them accountable can be hard, but they're worthwhile. So if you need support in that, please let me know and we can navigate how to tackle that together.
Sounds good.
Cool. Something else you had mentioned here was the GPA, the midterm grade reports aren't in. When can you expect to have that information?
It really just depends on how the school is feeling, I guess, whenever they decide. So it's usually around this time, but it really depends.
Okay. I encourage you to have your Sigma follow up with the school and to see when you can expect to have that information. I don't think it does any harm to stop by their office and just say, hey, like this, it's nice to see you, but also like we're looking for this information and it's something that we need. So can you give us a time frame of when we can expect it?
Sounds good. We'll definitely do that.
Awesome. And the last thing on your semester goals list here is ensuring that the ritual team is ready. What does that preparation with your FI look like?
So the biggest thing this year I think that we did was have a calendar published at the beginning of the semester with, when practices were, just when important dates were, so that one, the RIT team obviously knew for practices and stuff, but then also the brothers were also on the same page when different rituals were. So I know that the Hi-Fi has published that schedule, and then other than that, just our bi-weekly practices have started.
Okay. And with those practices, has your FI been pretty organized? Are brothers attending? Like, give me the lowdown on that.
I think so far, especially with the schedule, I think it kind of has eliminated eliminated the excuses of like, of last minute things popping up or, whatever it is, being able to say, you knew about this weeks ago or months ago has really helped with the consistency of attendance at practice.
Good. So brothers are showing up for the most part. If they're not, you're telling them how it is and you're like, you all have known about this. We expect you to be there. Cool. And how's your Hi-Fi doing with preparation? Is everything going well? He feels supported and good?
I think so. I think because we've got a lot of active brothers that, were former FIs, that he's got a lot of support with what he's doing.
Good. And associate members, you're getting ready to have them again, right?
Yep.
So good. I'm glad you're all clear ahead. Sweet. So walk me through your monthly goals. Let's start with our primary goal with completing the probation terms.
Yep. So monthly goals kind of tie into the semester goals, just in that, the probation terms was our big semester goal. And we kind of touched on this already that right now we're just finishing up the 2 last speakers, but after that, the term should be finished. And then elections are coming up here in a little bit, so kind of starting to think about how elections are going to look, when they are, where they're going to be and all of that, and then as well as planning for transitions afterwards. And so with that, right now we have reservations for the rooms and we know the dates for elections, but that's about as far as we've gotten with elections.
Okay. Do you feel like the election process has gone pretty well in the past? Is that something you're carrying over from last year, or are you changing things up a little bit?
For the most part, we're keeping it the same. There are definitely some changes we're making just in terms of efficiency. So, we usually do try and split up between 2 years, or sorry, not 2 years, 2 days, even though it feels like 2 years sometimes. And we're also just kind of having set positions that we're going to get through a certain amount on each day so that, we finish on time and try to not go too late into the night.
Good. And this is something brothers know about. They know when to be there, voting and all that.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Last thing to talk about really for their monthly goals is the dyad completion or the brotherhood survey. Thank you so much for working hard with your entire High Zeta community to make sure they got 100% of the brothers to do it. I know it's not an easy feat, and we really value the feedback that y'all are able to provide, so thank you for doing that. And please share that message with your other High Zeta leaders that we really appreciate it.
Will do.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Brecken. I appreciate your time here today. Please, everybody, give it up for Brecken and his participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so if you saw up on the sheet, there's actually a few more components that we could talk about through strategy and support meetings. Sometimes we'll go back and talk through the previous 2-week goals to see where the progress is still being made on those. And there's also an opportunity throughout the session, particularly at the end, for you to bring up any housekeeping or questions for your coach. So although we didn't cover the entire sheet right here in this mock session, please know that you are able to talk about anything and everything with your coach that is on the strategy and support sheet and anything else that truly comes to mind for y'all. So as you saw, we just had our mock strategy and support session up here. We had the strategy and support sheet up on the screen. You have one in your workbook as well. So if you would, please go ahead and turn to page 22 and 23 if you're not already there. And once you get there, you're going to see the sheet that we just talked through up here on stage, Brecken and I. And you'll get to see how things are formatted a little bit. There's truly no right or wrong way to create your strategy and support sheet. However, this does provide you a really great framework for it. So we're going to spend about the next 15 to 20 minutes creating your first strategy and support sheet that you will take back to your chapter coach to have that first strategy and support meeting of the semester. So please model what you see on the screen, what you see in your workbook, to start to create the sheet of your own. Hello, hello. All right, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to work through that first strategy and support sheet, or maybe it's not your first and you're a returning High Alpha. Thank you for going ahead and preparing for this coming academic semester or term. If you didn't get it done, that's totally okay. This is something that y'all will continue to work on and complete leading up to your first strategy and support session. If you haven't gone ahead and scheduled that strategy and support session with your chapter coach, please be on the lookout from that, or be on the lookout for an email from them or a text. They'll be getting in contact with you again as we start to prepare for the next semester. I just wanted to say thank you all for being here. Thank you, High Alphas. Thank you, High Pies. As we conclude, please turn to page 44 of your workbook so that we can do the leadership commitments. And I want you to think about how you can connect all of the sessions that we've had so far today into the strategy and support session and make that commitment for y'all.